breast pumps have come a long way in the last 50, 60 years. So I wanted to show a few old pumps that we have. This first one, first of all, what does it look like? What comes to mind if you see this? Looks like a bicycle horn, not a breast pump, right? So as you can imagine, just based off the looks, how it works, place it on the breast, squeeze the bicycle horn. It's going to create suction, right? But where does the milk go? In this tiny bulb. And then how do you get it out? I guess you just dump it out. Like, not sanitary, doesn't collect a lot of milk, but it does create some suction. Which is kind of what they were going for back when they first started creating breast pumps. So this is the bicycle horn, not very sanitary. Another one is called the cylinder pump. This was popular in the 60s and the 70s. So I can show you. Place on the breast, and then there's a little plastic piece down here that's going to create the suction. So that's how I would pump. So it works pretty well, right? However, where does the milk go, right? It just goes right in here. So the more milk that you get, the less suction you're going to have. So you're going to have to stop, dump the milk out, and start over. And then sometimes when these get wet, they may not suction as well, or they can make a really loud squeaking noise. So this is a cylinder pump. Also, another thing to note, if you can see in there, see how the flange gets narrower, more narrow there, and you can see it right here with my finger. So obviously every woman's created different. So I can only imagine different breast sizes that could be really damaging to the nipple because it gets smaller as the nipple is pulled into the flange. So that's the cylinder pump. And then this other pump, this is the Lloyd B pump. This was popular in the 50s, but you could still buy it in the 80s. So what's actually interesting, even though this contraption looks like a lot of parts, it actually was easier to use and more effective than, say, the other two I just showed you. So mother places it on her breast. You've got this crank here. So I'm going to show one thing real fast. So watch as I sit here and crank. Breast tissue just keeps getting pulled in and pulled in and pulled in. So one thing that could be hazardous is if the mother doesn't know when to stop or break suction, so it could absolutely cause damage because she's suctioning too much. But how you would break the suction is this little tab right here. If I can do it with my hand. If you pull it, oh, there it goes. And did you see it released? And then I can do it again. Pump, pull it, and release. So this actually, for the time, was better than other things that were out there. But the only risk is that it could be very damaging to the nipple because you could just sit there and crank and suction the breast tissue into the flange. So those are a few old pumps. We have come a long way. Even the most, not user-friendly pump that exists nowadays is leaps and bounds better than what mothers had, back in the 50s or 60s. So we are very lucky this day and age.